this was an eagerly awaited and much hyped moment, and we eventually, from the Justice Department, got the release of more than 13,000 files from the investigations into convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. But no real major revelations, no particularly new light shed on Jeffrey Epstein's conduct or his connections with these prominent people in American society. The files did contain, for example, a graphic police interview with someone who said she was recruited to give Epstein partially nude massages when she was a minor. There are photos of a book called Massage for Dummies. There are flight logs. There's surveillance video from the prison where Epstein killed himself in 2019. Various other items pertinent to investigations, but I think what's grabbing most attention in the US right now is that former President Bill Clinton features quite heavily in these files. In particular, there are photographs of Clinton in a hot tub, for example, or in a swimming pool, along with the Epstein associate Ghislaine Maxwell. There's another picture of Clinton alongside a woman whose face is blacked out. Now, of course, there had been a long-standing association between Clinton and Epstein. He has long denied any wrongdoing or any knowledge of Epstein's illicit activities, and certainly denies ever going to Jeffrey Epstein's island. Nonetheless, the White House has seized on this, has put out on social media claims that it's Clinton, not Trump, who's the big loser from these files so far. And indeed, I think critics would note, despite Trump's long association with Jeffrey Epstein, there's very little about Trump in this latest batch of documents. And I think critics will say there's an attempt here to point the finger at Clinton as a distraction from Donald Trump's own problems.
Yeah, you mentioned some of the criticism. What else are we hearing in reaction to the release of some of these files?
Well, certainly some of the victims have welcomed FBI documents to relate to their cases. Other victims have expressed disappointment that this is only a partial release. And certainly that is the line being taken by the opposition Democrats, who are pretty incensed with what they've seen so far. If you remember, all year there's been this campaign for the release of the Epstein files. Donald Trump was very resistant, but eventually it became inevitable in Congress that both Democrats and Republicans were going to vote for the full release of the files, and Trump signed that into law. And it's stipulated by the end of December the 19th, all the files will be made public and searchable in a database. And the Justice Department has failed to do that. Chuck Schumer, Democrat in the Senate, said this is just a fraction of all the documents. Thomas Massie, a Republican who is pushing hard for this, said this is a gross failure of what the Justice Department was supposed to do, a violation of the law. And now Democrats are exploring their legal options as to how can they force further release of these files. The Justice Department says it's a Herculean task. They have to redact many names, but even so, you're hearing some Democratic voices saying this is just a continuation of the cover-up, and in fact, it's just likely to further feed the conspiracy theories around the Epstein case.